Razavan here for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Delighted to have with me on Zoom today, Sky Sports' very own Mr. Johnny Nelson. Johnny, what a night of boxing. Fantastic to see fans back, but the 67,000 didn't expect Anthony Joshua to lose to Oleksandr Usyk. I saw your breakdown during the weeks, and you mentioned how tough this fight was going to be. You've spent a lot of time with Anthony Joshua over the course of his last couple of weeks in camp. Were you shocked at the end, though, with how it happened?
No, I wasn't shocked at the end. I was forever wanting, expecting. Okay, how can I put it? Anthony Joshua is forever surprised in everything he's done. He's been boxing 13 years from the age of 18. What he's done in that short space of time, nobody can ever knock his achievements and what he's done and how he's done it and how he's managed to get to where he has done in record time. So it shows something in his character where he's mentally strong, focused, and can get stuff done. So this is why, again, I thought he's going to pull another magic trick off again, because that's what he did. He's getting in there with one of the best fighters out there. And he tried his hardest. He tried to actually outbox Usyk and play him at his own game. And it's a gamble he was prepared to take. For the big question was Usyk big enough to make a difference? Because he underwhelmed in his heavyweight fights that we've seen. Didn't mean he didn't win. He just didn't look as good as he did looked in the cruiserweights. He was getting himself. Stars make fights, and I'm quite sure if Usyk went in with something like Dylan White or something like rugged that's going to hold him down and push him under pressure, the fight will be a lot more physically taxing for him. And even though Usyk's face is all battered and bruised, physically it wasn't as hard as it was when he boxed, I don't know, Derek Chisora, for instance, because it was physically, he physically wasn't there. For Anthony Joshua, he was stuck in between. And if I'm honest, because the other day I was looking at Anthony Joshua against Dylan White and a few others, and he had a raw, spiky edge about him. He's refined himself, and he's learning the game, and so he's kind of losing a little bit of what that rawness that got him to where it got him to. And he got him through a certain level. Now he's thinking, I've got to refine it too. He's got to find a happy balance in between, and this is why what happened. He lost some points to again an outstanding fighter. The guy I said will be heir apparent 6 fights into his cruiserweight career, heavyweight, and that he did everything asked of him. And AJ didn't make it easy for him, but he kind of got he was in there with a guy that had everything going for him. And you know what, you got to give it to him, because this is a fight he could easily said, you know what, no, leave that. But he wants to fight everybody and everybody. And so, again, it's maximum respect. Plus, the 67,000 people that were in Tottenham, what it brought to the community, what it brought to sport, it was mad. I tell you, even it was mad. I thought, I looked around, I thought, you know what, only AJ could do this. And like it or not, even though he's lost, he could do it again. Because he has that appeal to the general public. Yes, a lot of people went home broken-hearted, but he has that appeal, that ability to bring that at people.
We know Joshua isn't the boxer, he's the puncher, but were you surprised with those tactics that he decided to box arguably one of the greatest boxers pound for pound today?
Yes, and everybody was, and for his last couple of fights, it looks like he's been stuck in between. Is he going to box? Is he going to fight? And I thought this guy prepared himself for a fight like against, I don't know, Fury, where people are saying this guy is a better boxer. So he's trying to prove a point to himself and to himself more than anything else. He got in there with Usyk, and maybe neglected some of the attributes that he's got. He's big, he's strong, he's a natural heavyweight that can punch. and he has to fight dirty. And AJ's not a dirty fighter. You know, he's a clean fighter. If there is a clean kind of fighting, and a bit of that, a bit of getting him to complain to referee, roughing him up, leaning on him, manhandling him, would have made a massive difference to Usyk's flow as it came on, as it rolled on. And again, you know, it's that little juggling act you're doing in front of you, and all the time that hand's there picking your pocket. That's what Usyk was doing. He was like feinting, dodging, making you think, making you work, taking your mind off what you're doing. And the point was, you've got to stick to what you're doing, stick to your game plan, and don't be fooled or hypnotized by what he's doing. Once you start watching, once you start seeing that, then you kind of suck it in and you're fighting this kind of fight.
Johnny, we've done a couple of interviews today. Obviously, Jamie Moore, Spencer Fair, and they've both said that there were too many people in the corner that were in Joshua's ear that were talking. Should have just have been Rob McCracken. George Foreman put a tweet, and I quote, he said, "AJ seems confused. I've been there. Too many people in his ear. Make up your mind and be yourself. A puncher."
Yeah, so you go through certain experiences to make to decide what works for you, and I don't know if these people are saying get rid of X, Y, Z or just have one chef. If you're saying have one chef, and all the sous chefs answered that one chef, I agree. But what happens when you're in the corner? You get these emotions get involved, and even though you should know your place and keep your mouth shut and say it to the trainer, unfortunately, emotions take place, and everybody wants to get involved and say, "Do this, do that, do this. Listen to me, don't listen to him." This is a tidy up that's probably down to Rob McCracken to line them up and say, "Yo, listen to me. I'm the only person you go to. You talk to me, you know, and I talk to him." And it's a tidy up, and these are little tweaks. And I'm quite sure AJ. Listen, I don't know how much he's worth. He's worth a hell of a lot of money. He's doing it because he wants to do it, not because he has to do it. He's doing it because he wants to do it for himself. So AJ will do what works best for him. And you see, I just there's certain fighters that's happy to trot along and happy to play second fiddle. So there's certain fighters that their aim is to be the best in the world, and if they know they can't achieve that, so say for instance he boxes Usyk again, and Usyk completely schools him, then he knows he won't be the best heavyweight champion in the world. Will his desire change? And that makes a lot of difference for fighters, you know, because I know once I knew I was good, and I became world champion, anything less wasn't good enough. I thought, what am I doing it for? And so for AJ, he needs to fix that, to right that wrong in his head. And if he loses to Usyk, then let's just see how it goes. But I don't think he's the kind of guy that will wants to make the numbers up. And there are great fights out there. And he's always said, I want to unify the titles. But if there's a man out there dealing with you, then that can affect your motivation. And even though everybody's big on Usyk saying he's this, he's that, he's this, listen, it's not an impossible task to beat him. There are fighters out there that have a certain different style that would drag him in, draw him in a deal with him.
Johnny, we saw when Evander Holyfield became the undisputed champ at cruiserweight, and he moved up. No one thought that he would go on and accomplish greatness at heavyweight like he did. Usyk, we looked at his last two fights with Chisora, with Witherspoon, and everyone judged him on that going to the anti-Joshua fight. He convincingly beat anti-Joshua. We don't know how great Oleksandr Usyk is going to become, but one thing we do know is he's going to grow into the weight eventually. He was asked yesterday after the post-fight press conference, do you expect anti-Joshua to be tougher in the rematch? And he said, I will be tougher. Basically meaning he's got a lot to improve on. How tough will a rematch be for anti-Joshua? How much would he have to change? Because this isn't Ruiz. This is arguably, as I say again, one of the best boxers pound for pound.
Well, he'll have to change his game plan. He can't go in there with the same game plan. So that didn't work. So now he knows what does work. And just because he lost, and what? Our league's lost, Fraser's lost, Foreman's lost. It's how you deal with a loss. And so fighters, the only fighters that you can say that haven't today You know, we're not going all the way back to Rocky Marciano. You're talking Floyd Mayweather. You're talking Joe Kazaki. You know, a loss doesn't mean Jack Diddley. It's just how you deal with it. And the fans will say, oh, he's lost. He's not good anymore. AJ knows to take that because he got all that backlash and the change of human nature and behavior after the first Ruiz fight. So he knows that. So he's just now got to devise a plan. I think, right, that didn't work. This will work. You know, the heavyweights I spoke to backstage, Chisora, White, and everybody said he just needs to. They all said the same thing. He needs to walk through him, manhandle him, and that's it. He didn't do that. He didn't do that. And Usyk's there in front of you because, and the reason why AJ didn't let the shots go, I think, is because when Usyk's moving and you tap and you miss, tap and you miss, and tap and you miss, what happens is you spend so much time thinking, I'm waiting. Round's on, the round's gone. Next round, I'm waiting, and ding, the round's gone. And that's what was happening. Now it's about that time and caution and anticipation that he's got to work towards. And so they'll devise a game plan that will work. Remember, he's still naturally the bigger puncher. He's still naturally the heavyweight. So he has those attributes that he needs to take advantage of now before Usyk is comfortable in the division.
How much of a problem is Usyk going to be to the rest of the division, Johnny?
Big ass problem, a big problem. And again, you know, when you're hearing guys saying he wants to walk in straight in front, walk straight through him, I'm thinking, boys, you know what, you need to understand, because I will always say a good cruiserweight will beat most heavyweights until you get to the top tier, and that's the case. So the heavyweights can't see it, but the cruiserweights can because they have the speed. They have the power to stand them and stop them in the tracks and think about how they're going to put it onto you. But if not, but the heavyweights haven't got the speed to catch up to you, which we saw. Usyk was too fluent, too fast. You know, his movement and everything was too light-footed, and so heavyweights don't get it. So I think it'd be a massive problem if you're talking to. I think you know what. Even so, the next question is how would he do against someone like Fury? I think he's better technically than Fury, but he's not as big. So Fury's got to use his weight and his reach, and so he's thinking, right now the difference in the fight is Fury knows how to push it to the line. He needs to rough him up, bully him, fight a little dirty. You know, this is something that AJ doesn't do because he's just not got that kind of fight in him because he wants, come on, let's fight like men. Fury's willing to go there to do whatever he can to win. And so, you know, putting the palm of your hand in your face, pushing you back and boom, hitting you. So all these little old school tricks that are natural to most fighters, Fury will do those things. And that's what he'll have to do with Usyk. And that doesn't guarantee him to win. It just guarantees the difference between he fighting Usyk and AJ fighting Usyk.
Johnny, in a couple of weeks, obviously got Wilder Fury. A couple of weeks after that, you got Dylan White Wallin as well. We're not going to go into those details now, but if certain results go certain ways, the heavyweight division could just be blown wide open.
Yeah, man. Yeah, without a doubt. And the other thing is this. The AJ and Fury fight is not dead anymore. It's actually, it could be made easier now than it ever could be because you've not got two A sides. So AJ can fill out a stadium and say, yo, this is my value. Your value is the belt. So if I want your belts, I gotta play side B. If you can say, you know what, I'm side A. If you don't play side B, move. I'll go on, I'll get someone else. That fight is still capable of being done. Remember, Pacquiao Mayweather. Pacquiao, you know, was at the receiving end of a couple of knockouts from they talked about him fighting Mayweather or not. And the fight still sold out. They made mad money. So the appetite's still there because it was no longer about the belts, it was about the people.
Absolutely. Join us finally. Sky's first show this week coming up, Boxer. Sky, obviously, collaboration. Chris Eubank Jr., Richard Riakpo. Excited that you got your kind of first event of this new venture?
Yeah. Well, of course, I was excited last night. You know, we were back in boxing. You saw it, and Spurs did an amazing job in kind of introducing boxing to another crowd. Because even the people at Spurs, they didn't really get how big boxing can be until that. And I'm like, shit. Yeah, I'm thinking, wow, and it looked mad, proper mad. And it's not very often you see something like that in England. Chris Eubank Jr., Riakpo, You know, these guys have now got an opportunity to take headline spot. And yes, of course, the venture of Boxer coming into this guy, of course, it's going to be a slow, quiet process. But what you need to remember is Sky has been in boxing for over 30 years. They've all come and gone. And Sky has been there consistently. He has its peaks, he has its troughs. He's been there consistently. The new kid on the block will come and go. And so now these fighters like Huey Fury, like Riakporhe, like Junior, have a chance to try and get in that door to say, right, look at me, here's a platform. I want you to know who I am. Because that's what Sky is. Sky is a great platform to introduce you to new talent, new blood. And that's what this is all about. So yes, it's sad to see the fighters that you've seen for years disappear and go to another platform. I'll still watch him. I'm still a fan. But it's also exciting because there's more talent coming through that people can get to know and get to build and these fights can build a following from.
Okay, Johnny, thank you so much for jumping on. I know you've literally just walked into the house after spending most of the week in London.
Hey man, I am mashed up. I've just got into the house, I'm tying up my house. I've got to cut my grass. That's what I do. I'm just trying to unpack my bag. And then I'll be back in London again this week for the build-up for our show next weekend.
Johnny Nelson, IFL TV. Thank you very much.
Nice talking to you again, my brother. Let's get it on next week again.
Absolutely.